Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Adithya and you're watching The Urban Techie. You saw the intro, you read the title. Without any further ado, let's get to it. When the OnePlus 7 Pro was launched last year, it came packing a ton of flagship features. Have those features aged well in 2020? Today we're gonna do a deep dive into that and check out each feature one by one. In 2020, you'll find that every other smartphone in the market comes with a high refresh rate display. They come in all types and sizes, from LCD to AMOLED, from budget to flagship. But in 2019, when the OnePlus 7 Pro was launched with its massive 6.67-inch AMOLED Quad HD 90Hz display, it was nothing short of a revelation. The phones in 2020 might come with a high refresh rate screen than the OnePlus 7 Pro, or might come cheaper than the OnePlus 7 Pro. But you'll find that most of those phones compromise on the display materials. Some might have a flatter screen than the phone right here, but you'll find that none of them have the Quad HD display that the OnePlus 7 Pro has. All in all, there's no hole punch, no notch, no compromises display is still the wow factor while considering this phone today in 2020. The screen will perfectly suit any of your mobile needs, be it gaming, consuming content, or even if you're just browsing social media on the fly. Camera configuration is a triple camera setup with primary lens being a 48 megapixel f1.6 aperture lens with OIS, the secondary lens being an 8 megapixel telephoto with f2.4 aperture also with OIS, and finally an ultrawide camera of 16 megapixels with EIS. The experience of shooting on this interface is actually smooth and flawless. The 48 megapixel camera can capture up to 4K resolution video at 60 frames per second and can do slow motion at 240 frames per second. With the latest software update, OnePlus 7 Pro cameras now have video recording capability with the ultra wide angle lens. The resulting shots are in 1080p, but it's still a versatile option to have on any phone. The camera also shoots excellent pictures with good dynamic range and contrast. All the pics are social media ready, and for the casual user, this camera will be excellent. Color scheme is on point, and even on bright subjects, the photos are not overexposed a lot. OnePlus's night mode, Nightscape, is also improved from past OnePlus phones, but it still has miles to go if it needs to catch up to the likes of Google or Samsung. On the front, we have a 16 megapixel pop-up selfie camera for all your selfie needs. This lens captures colorful selfies, and the portrait mode is ever improving with each software update. The front camera can shoot up to 1080p video at 30 fps. Sadly, it only has electronic image stabilization or EIS. It also comes with fall detection, which automatically retracts the camera inside the module if the phone feels like it is in sharp acceleration like when it is dropped. Overall, still a competent set of cameras for 2020. The OnePlus 7 Pro packs a 4000 mAh battery, which seems entry-level by 2020 standards. But this capacity is perfect for getting you through a full day of use with moderate usage. I would constantly get a screen on time of over 5 hours, but I found that turning down the resolution and the refresh rate brought my battery life to over 6 hours. Even when I was gaming for hours at an end while testing out this phone, the battery life was quite respectable. But what makes this battery stand out isn't the capacity but the charging tech. A 30 watt warp charge adapter can juice this battery for a normal day's use comfortably in the time you take a bath and get dressed for work. This is quite literally 0 to 50% in half an hour. The only caveat that I could find is that the charging tech is proprietary, which means that you'll have to carry around the 30 watt warp charge adapter wherever you go if you want the blazing fast charging speeds. The battery life was good enough for me that I never had to carry the charger around, but others might, so just putting it out there. The three features that I previously discussed usually make or break the purchase decision for most people I know while they are out to purchase a new phone. Most people just want a phone that looks good, shoots good photos, and doesn't die too quick. The OnePlus 7 Pro actually meets those requirements and then some. But for the tech enthusiasts, the chip inside matters. We know that if the chip inside is subpar, then the entire smartphone experience deteriorates. But I'm glad to report that the 2019 flagship processor Snapdragon 855 inside this phone is still no slouch in 2020. It handled every task I threw at it like a breeze. The animations felt slick, the touch response was smooth, and even the heating issue that is persistent with these kind of processors while handling heavy tasks like 4K video recording or continuous sessions of gaming were close to nil on this phone. The processor makes full use of the UFS 3.0 storage on this phone to push performance even further. The lack of 5G on this device is actually a glaring flaw in 2020, but those who are looking to future-proof themselves with a 5G phone really should look elsewhere. Personally, I believe India is still 3 years away from a stable 5G network in our country, so I don't really take it into consideration while recommending a new phone to buy in 2020. Overall hardware, still top-notch. OnePlus's Oxygen OS needs no introduction. It is synonymous with the OnePlus name. If you heard of OnePlus, then chances are you heard of Oxygen OS too. Currently running Android 10, the OnePlus 7 Pro feels super responsive to use. The skin is light yet bright and feels even more snappy thanks to the 90Hz refresh rate screen. All factors that make this a 2020 phone software-wise are present and accounted for. Gesture navigation, digital well-being, dark mode, system customization all scream that this is the best implementation of Android, period. Frankly, I could talk about Oxygen OS for hours at an end if I find willing victims, but for the purposes of this video, let's just get to the next section. OnePlus 7 Pro comes with a dual speaker setup and a really good one at that.
Do this smart, we'll be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
The clarity of music and the loudness of dialogue and content is really impressive. The earpiece, which hides just above the screen, gives a reasonable audio experience even when the bottom firing speaker is blocked. This is a setup truly deserving of being on a flagship phone. There's no headphone jack on this phone, but talking about it still in 2020 feels like flogging a dead horse. Even though wireless audio is still nowhere near the quality of wired audio, convenience has taken priority over quality and OnePlus has changed with the times too. That being said, the Bluetooth connection and audio quality is actually remarkable on this phone, especially since it ships with Bluetooth 5.0. This is particularly noticeable when you're listening to music on this phone with the OnePlus Bullets Wireless Z. There must be something in the software that makes these two devices work so well together. But the Bluetooth devices of other companies work pretty good with the OnePlus 7 Pro too. Nowadays, what makes a great phone isn't just about the audio quality. I see these big specs for all the new releases in 2020 and I can't help but feel that the core purpose of a mobile phone, that is to communicate with another person without having any interruptions, any drops in call quality, is somewhere lost in translation. However, I'm happy to report that that is not the case here. The OnePlus 7 Pro brings dual VoLTE support for making phone calls. The call quality was superb, clear, loud on the Reliance Jio network here. I never faced any call drops while using the OnePlus 7 Pro. I kind of rest easy knowing that the soul of the phone is still uncompromised. The phone uses an in-display fingerprint scanner and facial recognition as biometric authentication, both of which are not the most secure out there. However, both are blazing fast. The optical fingerprint scanner unlocks the device every time I try smoothly and quickly without giving me any error messages. This fingerprint scanner is yet to give me a failed attempt even after almost 20 days of use. The pop-up selfie camera, which is used for face unlock, takes a moment to pop up and down, but I'd stick to the fingerprint unlock mode just to increase the longevity of the camera pop-up system. OnePlus has added an additional step for activation of face unlock on this phone, that is a swipe up to activate face unlock. I feel like this is a brilliant implementation. It ensures that I don't accidentally trigger the pop-up camera for facial recognition while I'm checking notifications on my screen. The alert slider on any OnePlus device is actually a godsend. It allows you to switch quickly between profiles like silent, vibrate and normal just with a flick of a button. The OnePlus 7 Pro comes with an all-glass Gorilla Glass 5 body, but it still lacks wireless charging in classic OnePlus fashion. Watch charging kind of makes up for it, I feel, as I'm not the one to use slow wireless chargers. OnePlus didn't give any water resistance rating for this phone, but the video of them dunking this phone in a bucket full of water is still as confusing and hilarious as it was last year. So make of that what you will. The haptic feedback is excellent on the OnePlus 7 Pro as compared to the previous generations of OnePlus devices. You really feel it when you are typing or receiving notifications on this phone. I could actually feel this phone through my jeans pocket while I was getting a call, which I really missed on my previous OnePlus 6. When this phone was launched for 55,000 INR last May, it raised quite a few eyebrows. It was a tough sell back then. Right now, this phone is available for 43,000 INR fresh off Amazon for the 8GB RAM 256GB variant. If you decide to go refurbished, then you can find this phone for even cheaper. At that price, this phone is a steal. The price to performance ratio is really justified, now more than ever, with the 90Hz refresh rate screen, a flagship processor, great set of cameras and an unmatched software experience. If you are intent on getting a 5G ready phone or a phone with a more versatile camera setup, then you have quite a few options in 2020. The Realme X50 Pro 5G, the iQOO 3 5G are a few that come to mind. Even Samsung's S10 Lite and Note 10 Lite fall in the same price bracket and are viable alternatives. But if your budget is a bit more restrained and you still want a OnePlus device, then the OnePlus 7T is just a few compromises short of the OnePlus 7 Pro. If you're on the lookout for 5G in the OnePlus brand, then the OnePlus 8 from 2020 is for you. But all that being said, I would still recommend the OnePlus 7 Pro to the budget consumer out there. I know that they will really appreciate a good deal on this phone in 2020 and the flagship grade experience that they get with it. The OnePlus 7 Pro still demands your attention in 2020. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, see ya.